For decades, Western military planners have fixated on one glaring spot on the map: Kaliningrad, that isolated Russian enclave nestled in the heart of Europe. Once the crown jewel of Moscow's western defenses, this territory bristled with nuclear-ready Iskander missiles, S-400 systems, and Russia's formidable Baltic Fleet. To the Kremlin, it was the ultimate trump card, a blade aimed squarely at NATO. But that same blade has now twisted back toward its wielder. In a stunning turn, NATO has unleashed its most devastating weapon, not missiles, but bureaucracy. Without firing a single shot, Poland and Lithuania have transformed Putin's so-called fortress into a cage. Through a single clause in European law, Kaliningrad's land bridge has been shut. No tanks, no gunfire, just signatures. In October 2025, both nations invoked specific articles of the Treaty on the Functioning of the European Union, citing Russia's ongoing hybrid warfare tactics and persistent violations of international norms. It appeared like a mundane administrative act, but it was in fact a strategic masterstroke. With one stroke of legislation, every rail and road route connecting Russia to Kaliningrad through EU soil was closed to sanctioned goods. To grasp how brilliant and devastating this was, one must first understand the fragile arteries sustaining Kaliningrad's survival. Under normal circumstances, the enclave breathes through two crucial corridors. The first, the Lithuanian route, serves as its economic lifeline. Cargo trains from Russian hubs such as Pskov and St. Petersburg cut through Belarus, swing below Vilnius, and arrive in Kaliningrad. This line carries everything from industrial hardware to coal, steel, and heavy armament. The second, the Polish route, handles lighter goods. Trucks move from Belarus into Poland, skim past Warsaw, and cross near the Suwałki Gap to reach the enclave. These two routes feed 1 million civilians, tens of thousands of troops, and Russia's entire Baltic Fleet. Remove those lines, and Kaliningrad suffocates. Air and sea supply are theoretically possible, but prohibitively costly and perilous. Ukraine's success in striking the Russian Navy with sea drones made clear how vulnerable maritime convoys have become. Thus, Kaliningrad's survival has always hinged entirely on Poland and Lithuania, both NATO and EU members. Now, those dependencies have become weapons. Warsaw and Vilnius didn't declare a blockade. They simply began enforcing existing EU sanctions. Their customs services now apply the law to every shipment traveling across their territory. The result? A total chokehold. The banned list includes hundreds of items: metals, cement, machine components, coal, electronics, luxury goods, and high-tech devices. Everything Kaliningrad's economy and military depend upon, save food and medicine. And the method is as elegant as it is ruthless. No tanks, no barricades, only border agents with tablets in hand, quietly comparing manifests to an endless database of restricted items. If even one wagon or container carries a prohibited product, the entire convoy is turned back. No appeals, no exceptions. Russia faces a nightmare without a visible enemy. There's nothing to bomb, no aggressor to accuse, only calm officials repeating, "These are the rules." Kaliningrad's once formidable bastion is now being strangled by paperwork. Bureaucracy has become the new battlefield, and every customs officer is a foot soldier in this war of patience and precision. The consequences are staggering. NATO's maneuver has not only severed a supply line, it has shredded two pillars of Russian strategy. The doctrine of escalate to de-escalate, in which Moscow threatens nuclear escalation to force retreats, collapses here. There's no military installation to threaten. Putin cannot respond to customs enforcement with nukes. Doing so would brand him a lunatic and unite the entire world against him. For years, Kremlin propaganda boasted that Kaliningrad was an A2AD fortress, an anti-access area denial zone locking NATO out of the Baltic. Its Iskanders and S-400s supposedly blanketed half of Poland and the Baltic Sea. Now, those same defenses form a prison wall. The Baltic Fleet and Russian garrison are trapped inside their own shield. Kaliningrad, once an asset, has become a liability, a costly, isolated outpost that drains Moscow's resources rather than projecting its power. But the impact extends far beyond maps and logistics. This silent siege is dismantling daily life. Nearly 1 million civilians and thousands of soldiers are now cut off from the modern world. The fortress has become a prison without walls, its bars made of scarcity. Empty shelves replace iron gates. Dry gas stations, canceled flights, and vanished imports are the new reality. Shipping supplies by sea from St. Petersburg is ruinously expensive. The Baltic Sea is now among the most militarized waters on Earth, and no insurer will cover civilian vessels without charging astronomical war premiums. Those costs ripple through every loaf of bread, every bottle of water that reaches Kaliningrad. And in wartime conditions, a slow cargo ship becomes an easy target for naval drones or anti-ship missiles launched from Poland or Sweden. Even with military escorts, such convoys risk disaster. Air transport is worse, the costliest option of all. Supplying an entire city by air is economic suicide. The Berlin airlift succeeded only because dozens of Western nations pooled resources. Russia, drained by its war in Ukraine, cannot replicate that. The corridor from St. Petersburg to Kaliningrad runs through a sky surrounded entirely by NATO airspace. Polish F-16s, German Eurofighters, or Swedish Gripens could close it within moments. Any Russian aircraft daring to cross risks interception or worse. In essence, Kaliningrad's remaining lifelines are fragile threads that could snap at any time. Within weeks, ordinary citizens will find life unrecognizable. It's not luxury goods they lack, it's daily necessities. And deprivation brings despair. Psychologically, the impact is corrosive. For decades, Kaliningraders viewed themselves as more European than Russian. Weekend shopping in Poland, coffee in Lithuania, a bridge between East and West. Now that bridge is gone. They no longer feel European. They feel abandoned. Watching Moscow's bright lights on television while standing in ration queues breaks their spirit. The Kremlin's European fortress now feels like a forgotten colony. Even before this crisis, discontent simmered. In 2023, an informal referendum showed 72% of residents supporting independence. Now, that sentiment grows stronger. Many openly question why they must bear the cost of Putin's ambitions. For them, loyalty to Moscow is eroding fast. But beyond the local anger lies a blow to Russia's national pride. Kaliningrad isn't just a base, it's a trophy, the symbolic relic of victory over Nazi Germany. The mere fact that this historic territory has been reduced to helplessness through administrative regulations without a single shot fired is a humiliation unmatched since the fall of the USSR. The image of a superpower undone by clerks and laws is devastating. This bureaucratic siege carries another message, one directed at Beijing. China's Belt and Road Initiative depends on stable rail and land corridors through Eurasia. NATO's move proves how easily the West can choke those arteries. If it can isolate Kaliningrad overnight with legal language, it can just as easily cripple China's trade routes. Beijing now faces a sobering realization. Standing too close to Moscow could endanger its own economic interests. For Xi Jinping, this incident is a warning shot cloaked in diplomacy, a reminder that logistics are as strategic as missiles. As for Putin, he's cornered. Every option left is terrible. He could do nothing, watching Kaliningrad slowly suffocate, exposing his weakness to allies and enemies alike. He could lash out militarily, inviting war with NATO and total ruin. Or he could resort to rhetoric, his favorite fallback. Since 2022, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has been the voice of that defiance, repeating that the collective West has waged hybrid war on Russia. He insists Moscow was forced into this confrontation, portraying Russia as both victim and warrior. But by 2025, those same speeches ring hollow. At every major summit, the UN, the G20, Lavrov repeats the same claims, blaming NATO, the EU, even the United Nations itself for the crisis. It's propaganda on autopilot, failing to persuade anyone abroad or at home. The world is no longer listening. Russia's old narrative of grievance has collapsed under the weight of its own failures. Putin might try to ignite new distractions, perhaps in Africa, Syria, or cyberspace, but none will reopen Kaliningrad's borders. The reality remains, he's been outmaneuvered by paperwork. So now the world waits. Will Putin swallow the loss like a chess player conceding checkmate, or flip the board entirely, dragging everyone down with him? This is more than a blockade. It's the purest demonstration of modern power, where intelligence and strategy crush brute force. What's next for Russia after this economic and legal strangulation? And what does this tell us about the evolving face of warfare in the 21st century? Share your insights in the comments. Thank you for watching. And don't forget to subscribe, enable notifications, and like this video to support our independent reporting.